Zephyra Rogers had exactly 3 rules for survival. Never trust a billionaire, never drink cheap wine, and never, ever get caught. She was about to break one of them. Around her, Manhattan's elite mingled in $1,000 suits, their laughter echoing off the crystal chandeliers of the Plaza Hotel. They had no idea that the woman in the red dress currently sipping their expensive champagne was actively dismantling their host's security system. Zephyra's phone buzzed. Lines of code flickered across the screen, hidden beneath a fake shopping app. She smiled. "Too easy," she murmured, tapping through the final firewall. Zephyra Rogers, cybersecurity hacker, brilliant and untouchable, stood by the champagne tower in a red dress. Across the room, she felt him before she saw him, that prickling awareness that came with being watched. She glanced up. Rowan Sinclair. Even in a room full of wealthy men, he stood apart. 6'3" of controlled power in a black suit. Dark hair, darker eyes, and a jaw that looked carved from stone. He wasn't smiling. He never smiled, according to Forbes. The self-made billionaire who'd built a tech empire from nothing and crushed anyone who got in his way. Right now, those dark eyes were locked on her phone. Her heart kicked, but she didn't look away. Instead, she raised her champagne glass in a mock toast and hit send. Every screen in the ballroom blazed to life. The presentation behind the stage dissolved into spreadsheets, emails, wire transfers. Evidence of corporate espionage, laid bare for everyone to see. The rival CEO who'd been trying to steal Sinclair's patents went white. Chaos erupted. Zephyra set down her glass and turned toward the exit, her heels clicking against marble. She made it 5 steps before that voice cut through the noise. "Stop!" Not loud. Not angry. Just absolutely certain she would obey. She didn't. But she did pause, glancing over her shoulder. Rowan Sinclair hadn't moved, but his eyes promised retribution. His jaw ticked once, a muscle in his neck tensed. She raised her champagne glass in a mock toast and winked. Then she walked out, her pulse thundering in her ears, feeling his stare burn into her back with every step. Behind her, she heard him speak, his voice low and deadly calm. "Alex, find her. Now!" Zephyra pushed through the exit doors into the cool night air, adrenaline singing through her veins. She'd just exposed a corporate spy, embarrassed a rival company, and caught the attention of the most dangerous man in New York. She should be terrified. Instead, she was smiling. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "You just made a very expensive enemy, or a very powerful ally. Your choice. Meet me tomorrow. 8 p.m. The address is attached. Don't make me come find you." Zephyra deleted the message and hailed a cab. He could try. What Rowan Sinclair didn't know was that she'd been running from powerful men her entire life. What she didn't know was that he'd already decided she was done running. Welcome back, my amazing and supportive family. Thank you for staying with this channel. If this is your first time on this channel, comment below where you're watching from and hit that subscribe button. Your support means everything. Zephyra knew she was being followed on day 3. The black SUV was too expensive, too subtle, too persistent. It idled outside her favorite coffee shop on Monday, parked across from her gym on Tuesday. Wednesday morning, it sat outside her apartment building like a patient predator. She ignored it. Thursday, the flowers arrived. 3 dozen black roses, because of course a man like Rowan Sinclair wouldn't send red. The card was simple, typed in clean serif font. "Dinner. Tonight. Name your price." Zephyra photographed them, posted them on her Instagram with the caption, "When he thinks you're for sale," and donated them to the hospital down the street. Then she blocked every number that had contacted her in the past week. Friday, things escalated. "Ma'am, there's a car outside for you," her building's doorman said nervously when she came down for her morning run. "I didn't order a car, Gerald." "It's a, Gerald cleared his throat. "It's a Mercedes S-Class. The gentleman said it's yours. The title and keys are in the glove compartment." Zephyra stared at the sleek black vehicle gleaming at the curb. Then she pulled out her phone and sold it online in 15 minutes. She sent the receipt to every email address associated with Sinclair Industries, with a single line. Donated to charity. Try harder, Mr. Billionaire. Her phone rang 3 minutes later. Unknown number. She answered on speaker while tying her shoelaces. Miss Rogers. That voice, smooth and dark as expensive whiskey. You're making this interesting. I'm making this clear. I'm not interested in your job offer, your gifts, or whatever game you think you're playing. It's not a game. Something shifted in his tone, something almost amused. I'm offering you a position as head of cybersecurity for Sinclair Industries. The salary is not interested. You haven't heard the number. I don't work for men who think money solves everything. She stood, stretching. Also, stop following me. It's creepy. She hung up. The flowers kept coming. Every day, a different arrangement, each more extravagant than the last. Zephyra donated every single one. On day 9, he sent orchids so rare they had their own Wikipedia page. She sent him a screenshot of the donation receipt with a smiley face. On day 12, yacht keys arrived via courier. You've got to be kidding me, Zephyra muttered, staring at the leather folder containing documentation for a 40-foot yacht currently docked in Manhattan. Her best friend Jade grabbed the keys, squealing. Girl, keep the yacht. We can throw parties. I'm selling it. You're insane. I'm making a point. The yacht sold in 6 hours. Zephyra sent Rowan Sinclair the receipt with a new message. Running out of ideas yet? His response came immediately. Not even close. On day 15, she received a certificate in the mail. He'd bought her a star, an actual star, registered in her name through the International Star Registry. Zephyra laughed until her stomach hurt. Then she framed the certificate and hung it in her bathroom above the toilet. Meanwhile, across the city, Alex stood in Rowan Sinclair's office, wondering how his boss had lost his mind so completely. Sir, you're in the middle of a merger, Alex said carefully, watching Rowan stare at his phone instead of the contracts spread across his desk. The Yamamoto representatives are waiting in conference room B. Find out what she eats for breakfast. Alex blinked. I'm sorry? Zephyra Rogers, what does she eat for breakfast? Rowan's jaw tightened, his thumb hovering over his phone screen. Coffee preference. Usual order. I want to know. Sir, the merger. We'll wait. Rowan looked up, and Alex saw something dangerous flickering in those dark eyes. Something obsessive. 3 weeks, Alex. She's been dodging me for 3 weeks. No one dodges me. Perhaps that's why you're interested, Alex muttered. What was that? Nothing, sir. I'll find out about the breakfast. That night, Rowan lay awake in his penthouse, wondering what Zephyra looked like when she woke up. Whether she was a morning person, if she'd worn that red dress specifically to torture him. He'd built an empire on patience. But with her, patience was wearing dangerously thin. The memory of her wink haunted him, the way she'd walked away without fear, without hesitation, like he was nothing more than an inconvenient obstacle. No one treated him like that. He wanted to know why she could. The answer came on day 21, in an elevator. Zephyra was leaving a client meeting in Midtown when she stepped into the elevator and saw him. Rowan Sinclair, leaning against the back wall like he'd been waiting. The doors closed before she could escape. Her heart slammed against her ribs, but she kept her expression bored. Stalking is illegal in New York. So is hacking into private corporate systems. He didn't move, but suddenly the elevator felt impossibly small. Yet here we are. I was hired to expose the spy. You should be thanking me. I am thanking you. With job offers, you keep refusing. He pushed off the wall, taking one step closer, just one. You've been running for 3 weeks. I haven't been running. I've been ignoring you. There's a difference. Is there? Another step. His voice dropped, intimate and dangerous. I'm a patient man, Zephyra, but my patience has limits. She moved forward instead, closing the space until she could smell his cologne, expensive and intoxicating. She tilted her head back to meet his eyes. And what happens when you run out? His breath caught. She saw it, that split second of lost control. His gaze dropped to her mouth, then dragged back up with visible effort. The muscle in his jaw jumped. You really want to find out? The elevator dinged. 32nd floor. Zephyra smiled, slow and devastating, then stepped around him as the doors opened. Not particularly. She walked out without looking back, but she felt him standing there, felt the weight of his stare like a physical touch. Her hands were shaking. Her pulse was everywhere at once. Behind her, Rowan braced both hands against the elevator wall and tried to remember how to breathe. 3 weeks of chasing her, and 30 seconds had nearly destroyed him. The way she'd looked at him, challenged him, pressed close enough that he could feel her warmth. He was wrecked. And she knew it. Alex found him still in the elevator 2 minutes later, staring at nothing. "Sir? The car is waiting." Rowan straightened his tie, his jaw set with new determination. Change of plans. Find out everything about Zephyra Rogers. Where she works, who she works for, what contracts she has pending. "Sir, that's everything, Alex." Because if she wouldn't come to him, he'd simply rearrange the world until she had no choice. That night, Zephyra sat in her apartment, knees pulled to her chest, trying to stop replaying those moments. The heat in his eyes, the barely leashed control, the way he'd looked at her like she was something he wanted to devour. She'd been so cocky, so sure she could handle him. Now she wasn't sure at all. Her phone buzzed, another unknown number. She should ignore it. She answered. "This isn't over." His voice, rough and certain. "It never started." "Yes, it did. The moment you winked at me." A pause, heavy with promise. "I always get what I want, Zephyra. Always. The only question is how long you'll make us both wait." He hung up. Zephyra stared at her phone, her heart racing, and realized with creeping dread that she was in serious trouble. Because part of her, the reckless part that had worn that red dress and crashed his party, didn't want to keep running at all. The eviction notice came on a Tuesday. Zephyra stared at the paper taped to her apartment door, rage building in her chest like a storm. 30 days. The building had been sold, and the new owner was converting it to luxury condos. All current tenants had to vacate. "This is illegal," she snapped at the building manager, Mrs. Sarah, who looked equally devastated. "They're offering relocation assistance. It's minimal, but technically legal." Mrs. Sarah wrung her hands. "I'm sorry, dear. Half the building can't afford to move in this market." Zephyra spent the next 3 days apartment hunting and wanted to scream. Everything in her budget was either hours from her clients or the size of a shoebox. Her savings could cover a deposit, barely, but moving costs would wipe her out. She was sprawled on her couch, drowning in rental listings, when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "You're being evicted." Not a question. Rowan's voice, matter of fact. Zephyra sat up, fury igniting. "Are you seriously having me investigated?" "The building was purchased by Richard Vaughn. He's a competitor. This is retaliation for what you exposed at the gala." Her stomach dropped. "What?" "He can't touch me, so he's going after you." A pause. "I can fix this." "I don't need you to fix anything. Your pride or your home, Zephyra. Choose one." She wanted to throw the phone. She wanted to tell him exactly where he could shove his help. But 30 days. Mrs. Sarah and her husband, who'd lived here for 20 years. The single mom down the hall with 3 kids. "What do you want?" She hated how tired she sounded. "Have dinner with me. We'll talk." The restaurant was the kind of place that didn't have prices on the menu. Zephyra wore jeans out of spite. Rowan sat across from her in another perfect suit, looking amused. "You're predictable," he said. "You're insufferable." She grabbed the wine list. "If I'm being bought, I'm ordering the expensive bottle." "Order 2." She almost smiled. Almost. Rowan leaned back, studying her with those unreadable dark eyes. "Work for me. 6 months. I'll handle your housing situation, relocate any tenant who wants to stay, and pay you enough that you'll never worry about rent again." "How much?" He named a figure that made her choke on air. "That's obscene." "That's what you're worth." He said it simply, like it was fact. I need someone I can trust with my security systems. Someone brilliant enough to breach them. His mouth curved slightly. You've already proven you're qualified. Zephyrah's mind raced. 6 months. She could pay off her student loans, build a real safety net, help her grandmother with medical bills. But working for him, seeing him every day, pretending that elevator hadn't happened. I have conditions. Name them. No touching, no flirting. Strictly professional. She met his gaze, firm. You stay on your side of the office. I stay on mine. This is business. Rowan's smile was slow, dangerous, and absolutely devastating. We'll see how long that lasts. I'm serious. So am I. He raised his wine glass. 6 months, Zephyrah. Think you can resist me that long? She clinked her glass against his harder than necessary. Watch me. She started the following Monday and immediately regretted everything. Rowan's office was a sprawling penthouse suite with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. Her workspace wasn't across the building or even down the hall. It was a glass desk 10 feet from his. This wasn't the deal, Zephyrah said flatly, staring at the obscenely close proximity. You said strictly professional. This is professional. Rowan didn't look up from his computer. I need my head of security nearby. Security threat protocol. That's not a real thing. It is now. Alex appeared in the doorway, looking apologetic. Miss Rogers, I had your equipment set up as requested. If you need anything moved— She's fine where she is, Rowan interrupted. Zephyrah glared at him. He ignored her completely, which somehow made it worse. The first week was torture. Every time she shifted, she felt him watching. Every time he moved, her body went on high alert. They worked in silence, broken only by typing and the occasional phone call. But the tension was suffocating. On Wednesday, she changed all his passwords to insults. Stubborn Billionaire 123 for his main system. Insufferable Boss 224 for his email. Rowan discovered this during a video conference with Tokyo investors. Your password is incorrect, his computer announced pleasantly. Zephyrah didn't look up from her screen, but she was grinning. Miss Rogers, his voice was dangerously calm. My password? Oh, you'll figure it out. You're smart, right? She heard him type. Fail. Type again. Fail. Then quietly, stubborn billionaire? Missing the numbers. 5 minutes later, he'd reset everything and created new passwords. She changed them again during lunch. This time to Control Freak Supreme and Obsessive Much? Alex found them in a silent standoff at 3 p.m., Rowan standing behind her desk, arms crossed, while Zephyrah smiled innocently. Sir, the team-building event, I'm not going, Rowan said. It's mandatory. You mandated it. Alex looked pained. Laser tag, the entire executive team. Zephyrah's grin widened. Oh, this I have to see. 2 hours later, she was destroying him. Rowan Sinclair, billionaire CEO, stood in a dark arena wearing a light-up vest, getting systematically hunted by his head of security. Zephyrah was ruthless, appearing from nowhere, tagging him repeatedly, vanishing before he could retaliate. This is humiliating, he muttered to Alex, who was hiding behind a barrier. Sir, she's beating everyone. Jenkins from accounting is crying. Zephyrah's voice echoed through the arena. Come out, Mr. Billionaire, or are you scared? Rowan felt something unexpected. He was enjoying this. Her laugh, her competitiveness, the way she treated him like a normal person instead of someone to fear. He stepped out and immediately got tagged. Dead again. Zephyrah appeared beside him, eyes sparkling. That's 15-3. Want to surrender? Never. He was definitely smiling now. Her expression softened, just for a moment. There it is. What? You're smiling. I was starting to think your face was frozen. The moment stretched. In the dark arena, with stupid vests and terrible techno music, something shifted between them. Then her vest beeped. She'd been tagged from behind. She spun, laughing, and chased after Jenkins. Rowan stood there, heart doing strange things, and realized he was in serious trouble. The office betting pool started week 3. $20 says they will hook up by the end of month, she heard someone whisper by the coffee machine. 50 says 2 weeks. Did you see how he looks at her? Zephyra pretended not to hear, but her cheeks burned. Rowan, unfortunately, did hear. The next person caught betting got assigned to the Alaska branch review. The pool went underground after that. Friday afternoon, Jade's birthday party became unavoidable. "You're bringing him," Jade insisted over the phone. "Absolutely not. You're contractually obligated to bring a +1. I made the invitations. It's legally binding. That's not how. Rowan Sinclair at my birthday party, or I'm crashing your office Monday in my bad bitch outfit." Zephyra knew that outfit. It was bad for many reasons. Fine. But he'll say no. Rowan said yes immediately. "What time should I pick you up?" The party was in a Brooklyn loft, full of artists and musicians, and exactly 0 billionaires. Rowan walked in wearing dark jeans and a fitted black shirt, looking simultaneously overdressed and impossibly good. "Relax," Zephyra muttered, watching him scan the room like a threat assessment. "It's a party, not a hostile takeover. I don't do parties. You're doing this one." She grabbed his hand without thinking, pulling him toward the drinks. His fingers closed around hers, warm and sure, and she realized her mistake too late. "No touching," he murmured in her ear. "Your rule, remember?" She dropped his hand like it burned. Jade materialized instantly. "Holy hell, you actually brought him." She circled Rowan like a predator. "Girl, that man looks at you like you're oxygen." "Jade. I'm Jade. Best friend. Professional meddler." She thrust a drink at Rowan. "You hurt her. I know people. Brooklyn people." Rowan accepted the drink, almost smiling. "Understood." The night was supposed to be awkward. Instead, Zephyra watched Rowan slowly relax, talking to her friends about everything except business. He argued about music with Jade's boyfriend. He helped set up karaoke. When someone spilled beer on him, he didn't even flinch. "He's different with you," Jade said later, watching Rowan fetch Zephyra another drink without being asked. "Like human. Does he know he's in love with you?" "He's not. Babe, I've known you since college. You're terrified right now, which means you feel it too." Zephyra didn't answer because Rowan was walking back, and the way he looked at her made her forget how to breathe. Week 5 brought their first real fight. A junior analyst named Brett started finding excuses to visit Zephyra's desk. Compliments, coffee offers, increasingly obvious flirting. She was polite but disinterested. Brett was persistent. Rowan was ready to commit murder. "What's Brett's current assignment?" he asked Alex tightly, watching Brett laugh at something Zephyra said. "The Singapore project, sir. Send him there, permanently." "Sir, that's... Now, Alex." Zephyra caught the end of this conversation. "You cannot reassign people because they talk to me. I can do whatever I want. It's my company." "It was coffee." She followed him into his private office, furious. "He asked me for coffee." "I don't care if it's just coffee." Rowan turned on her, and she saw something raw in his eyes. "I don't want his hands near you." "You don't get to..." "6 months, Zephyra. You agreed to 6 months. That means you're mine for 6 months, and I don't share." The words hung between them, dangerous and electric. "I'm not yours," she whispered, but her voice shook. "Aren't you?" He stepped closer, and she could move back but couldn't. "Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me every time I'm near you your breath doesn't catch. Tell me you don't think about that elevator." "Rowan, tell me," he demanded, voice rough, "and I'll believe you." She couldn't. God help her, she couldn't lie. The office door burst open, Alex pale and urgent. "Sir, we have a problem. Richard Vaughn just bought out 3 of our suppliers. He's..." Rowan's expression shuddered instantly, switching from vulnerable to ruthless in a heartbeat. "Conference room. Now." He strode out, leaving Zephyra standing there, shaking. That night, she stayed late, digging through Sinclair Industries' archived files. If Vaughn was targeting them, she needed to understand why. What she found made her blood run cold. Rowan's past wasn't just ruthless, it was brutal. A decade ago, he'd destroyed companies, ruined competitors, built his empire on calculated takedowns. The articles called him merciless, a man with no conscience. She was staring at a particularly damning headline when she heard it. Harsh, uneven breathing from Rowan's office. She found him at his desk, head in his hands, breathing like he was drowning. Panic attack. She recognized it instantly, and had seen her grandmother have them after her parents died. Rowan. She crossed to him carefully. Rowan, look at me. He couldn't. His hands were shaking. Breathe with me. In for 4. She counted, slow and steady. Hold for 4. Out for 4. He tried, failed, tried again. Zephyra did something reckless. She took his hands, grounding him. You're okay. You're safe. I'm here. Slowly, painfully, his breathing evened. He looked up at her, and the vulnerability in his eyes nearly broke her. This doesn't leave this room, he rasped. I wouldn't. I'm not who you think I am. His voice was hollow. Those articles you were reading, all true. I destroyed people, Zephyra. I did things. To survive. She squeezed his hands. You built this from nothing. I read that too. That doesn't excuse. I'm not excusing it. I understand. She held his gaze. You're not that person anymore. How do you know? Because that person wouldn't have panic attacks about becoming a monster. She said it quietly, certainly. That person wouldn't care. Something shifted in his expression. Without thinking, he pulled her closer, resting his forehead against her stomach, his arms wrapping around her waist. Zephyra froze. Then, slowly, her fingers found his hair. They stayed like that, breaking every rule until his breathing steadied completely. When he finally pulled back, his eyes were clearer, but haunted. Thank you. Anytime. She meant it. This is why I can't let you go. His voice was raw. You're the only person who sees me and doesn't flinch. Zephyra's heart cracked open. Rowan. I know. Strictly professional. He smiled, broken and beautiful. I'm trying. I'm really trying. I know, she whispered. She left before she could do something stupid like kiss him. But walking to her car, Zephyra realized the truth. She wasn't trying at all anymore. She was falling, fast and terrified, for the most dangerous man she'd ever met. And she had no idea how to stop. The merger documentation arrived on a Thursday, 3 months into her contract. Zephyra had stopped pretending weeks ago. Stopped pretending she didn't wait for Rowan's morning coffee ritual. Didn't memorize the way he loosened his tie when he was frustrated. Didn't fall asleep thinking about his hands. They'd settled into something dangerous and electric, dancing around the inevitable. Tonight, they were working late again. The office was quiet, just the two of them, and the glow of computer screens. Zephyra was reviewing security protocols for the upcoming merger, her eyes burning with fatigue. Go home, Rowan said without looking up. You've been staring at that screen for 6 hours. So have you. I'm used to it. So am I. But even as she said it, her eyes drifted closed. She meant to rest them for just a moment. Instead, she sank into the leather couch in his office, consciousness slipping away like water through fingers. Rowan found her 20 minutes later, curled up with her laptop still balanced on her knees. Something in his chest tightened painfully. She looked younger in sleep, vulnerable in a way she never allowed when awake. He carefully removed the laptop, set it aside. She stirred slightly, and he froze. Then, without overthinking it, he shrugged off his suit jacket and draped it over her. It swallowed her frame. She pulled it closer unconsciously, and he had to look away from the intimacy of it. He should leave. Go back to his desk. Instead, he sat in the chair across from her and just watched. The rise and fall of her breathing, the way her lips parted slightly. How peaceful she looked when she wasn't challenging him, running from him, driving him slowly insane. He'd never wanted anything the way he wanted her. Not success, not money, not revenge. Just her, soft and willing in his arms, looking at him like he wasn't a monster. Why do you look at me like that? Her voice, sleepy and rough, made him jolt. She was watching him through half-lidded eyes, his jacket still wrapped around her. Like what? His voice came out rougher than intended. Like I'm something precious you're afraid to break. The truth escaped before he could stop it. Because you are, and I'm terrified. Zephyra sat up slowly, his jacket falling to her lap. The air between them felt charged, dangerous. Of what? Of this. Of you. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Of the fact that I've wanted you since that night. Since you winked at me and walked away like I was nothing. I haven't stopped wanting you, Zephyra, not for a single goddamn second. Her breath caught. Rowan, tell me to stop. He stood, and she should run but couldn't move. Tell me you don't want this, and I'll walk away. I'll keep my distance for the rest of the contract. Just say it. She stared up at him, heart thundering. 3 months of denial, of pretending, of lying to herself. I can't. Something broke in his expression. Good. Because I warned you. Once I start, I won't stop. He crossed the space between them, pulling her up and into him in one fluid motion. His mouth crashed against hers, desperate and claiming, weeks of restraint exploding into this single moment. Zephyra gasped against his lips, and he swallowed the sound, one hand tangling in her hair, the other splaying across her lower back, pressing her closer. She'd imagined this. Late at night, alone, she'd wondered what he would taste like. The reality destroyed her. He kissed like he did everything else, with absolute focus, devastating precision, like she was the only thing that mattered in the entire world, her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer even though there was no space left between them. He walked her backward until her back hit the wall, his body caging hers, and the sound he made when she arched against him was purely male satisfaction. Zephyra. Her name was a prayer and a curse. He pulled back just enough to look at her, pupils blown wide, breathing ragged. If we do this, stop thinking. She pulled him back down. This kiss was different. Slower, deeper, learning every inch of each other. His thumb traced her jaw, tilted her head for a better angle. Her fingers found his hair, and when she tugged gently, he groaned against her mouth. 3 months, he muttered between kisses, trailing his lips along her jaw, down her neck. 3 months of torture, watching you, wanting you, your fault. Her voice was breathless. You could have stayed away. Impossible. He bit down gently where her neck met her shoulder, and she made a sound that nearly undid him. You ruined me that first night. They barely made it to the couch. Zephyra pulled him down, and he went willingly, covering her body with his, careful even in desperation. They kissed until breathing became difficult, until the office disappeared and nothing existed except this. Them, finally. When they finally surfaced, dawn was breaking over Manhattan. Zephyra lay tucked against Rowan's side on the couch, his shirt rumpled, her hair a mess, both of them fully clothed, but thoroughly disheveled. His fingers traced lazy patterns on her arm, and she'd never felt safer. We broke your rules, he murmured. They were stupid rules. She felt him smile against her hair. I tried to tell you. Shut up. He shifted, pulling her on top of him so he could see her face. His expression was soft, open in a way she'd never seen. Everyone in this building needs to know. You're mine. Reality tried to creep in. Rowan. I'm serious. His hands framed her face. I don't share. I don't do casual. If we're doing this, we're doing it for real. I don't belong to anyone, she said, but it lacked conviction. His smile was pure male arrogance. Yet, she should argue. Instead, she kissed him again, and the discussion ended there. The next 2 weeks were the happiest of Zephyra's life. They kept it professional at work, mostly, but everyone knew. The way Rowan watched her, how she smiled at him when she thought no one was looking. Alex started a new betting pool on when the official announcement would come. Rowan was different, lighter. He smiled more, laughed at her terrible jokes, pulled her into his office for stolen kisses between meetings. At night, they stayed late, talking until sunrise about everything and nothing. He told her about growing up poor, building his company from nothing, the people who'd betrayed him. She told him about her parents, The scandal that destroyed them, her fear of becoming vulnerable. "You're not vulnerable," he'd said, kissing her temple. "You're the strongest person I know." She'd almost believed him. The merger documents sat on her desk on a Monday morning, flagged for security review. Standard procedure. She opened them absently, scanning corporate names and financial details. Then she saw it. Lawrence Hartwell, silent partner in the acquiring company. The name that had haunted her nightmares for 15 years. Her hands started shaking. Lawrence Hartwell, the billionaire who'd destroyed her father's company through insider trading, who'd planted evidence that sent her father to prison, who'd walked away clean while her family fell apart. Her father had died in prison. Her mother had followed 2 years later, broken and alone. And Rowan was in business with him. She was still staring at the documents when Rowan walked in, coffee in hand, smiling at her the way that usually made her melt. "Morning, beautiful." He stopped, seeing her expression. "What's wrong?" "Lawrence Hartwell." Her voice sounded distant to her own ears. "You're merging with a company he's invested in?" Rowan went very still. "Zephyra, you knew." Ice spread through her chest. "You knew what he did. What he did to my family, my parents." "I didn't. Not until last week." He set down the coffee, moving toward her carefully. "As soon as I found out, I started working on ending the deal." "A week?" She stood, documents scattering. "You've known for a week and didn't tell me?" "I was handling it. She laughed, sharp and bitter. "Like you handle everything? By controlling it, manipulating it, until it fits your perfect plan? That's not fair." His jaw tightened. "I'm ending the deal, Zephyra. I've already told my lawyers." "For me?" The words came out strangled. "Don't pretend you care. This is just another game to you. The girl who said no, the challenge you had to win. Stop." His voice cut like a blade. He crossed to her, grabbing her shoulders. "I'd burn my entire empire for you. Don't you see that? I don't care about the merger, the money, any of it. I care about you." She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. But standing there, looking at the man who'd somehow become her entire world, all she could see was the ruthless billionaire from those articles, the one who destroyed anything in his path. "I can't do this." She pulled away, and the hurt that flashed across his face nearly broke her. "I can't be with someone who does business with the man who killed my father. I'm ending it. It's not enough." The words tore out of her. "Don't you understand? You knew for a week where you kissed me, told me you—" She couldn't finish. "I can't trust you. Zephyra, please. I'm done." She grabbed her bag, the merger documents, everything. "I'll finish the contract remotely. You don't have to see me again. Don't walk away from this." His voice was raw, desperate. "From us." She stopped at the door, not looking back, because if she did, she'd crumble. "There is no us. There never was. Just a billionaire who wanted what he couldn't have, and a girl too stupid to see it. That's not true." But she was already gone. Rowan stood alone in his office, the space that had felt warm and alive with her, in it now cold and empty. He'd built an empire on ruthless decisions, on never letting emotion compromise business. Now, for the first time in his life, he understood what it meant to lose something that actually mattered. His phone buzzed. Alex. "Sir, the Hartwell lawyers are here for—" "Cancel it." His voice was hollow. "Cancel the entire merger. I don't care what it costs. Sir, that's over $1 billion. I said cancel it." He hung up, staring at the couch where he'd held her, where she'd fallen asleep wearing his jacket, where everything had changed. He'd told her he'd burn his empire for her. Time to prove it. But first, he had to figure out how to fix the one thing his money and power couldn't solve. How to win back a woman who'd finally learned to stop running, only to run from him. The first time Zephyra saw him, she was getting coffee 3 days after walking out. Rowan Sinclair stood across the street from her favorite cafe, soaked from the rain, staring at the window like he was waiting for something. For her, he looked terrible. Unshaven, his usually immaculate suit wrinkled, dark circles under his eyes that even the distance couldn't hide. She turned away before he could see her and left through the back exit. He was there the next morning. And the next. "Girl, you broke that man," Jade said on day 5, peering through Zephyr's apartment window. "He's outside in the rain like a rom-com cliché. It's pathetic and somehow hot. Stop looking. He's been there for 3 hours. In the rain, Z. The man is drenched." Zephyr's chest ached, but she didn't go down. Couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw her father's face the last time she'd visited him in prison. The hollow defeat in his eyes. Her mother, wasting away in their tiny apartment, drowning in grief and medical bills they couldn't pay. Lawrence Hartwell had done that, and Rowan had been willing to do business with him. Her phone buzzed constantly, voice notes she refused to listen to, until one night, alone and breaking, she couldn't resist anymore. She pressed play. "Zephira." His voice was wrecked, rough like he'd been crying. "I know you're not listening to these, but I need to say it anyway. I was going to tell you. That morning, I was going to explain everything, show you the paperwork to end the merger. I wanted one more night. One more night where you looked at me like I wasn't a monster." She closed her eyes, tears sliding down her cheeks. The next message. "I didn't know about Hartwell until my lawyers flagged his involvement. The second I saw his name, I remembered. You'd told me about your father, what happened to your family. I spent that entire week building a case to not just end the merger, but destroy him. I should have told you. God, Zephira, I should have told you immediately." Another. "I'm canceling the deal, all of it. I don't care what it costs. Alex keeps telling me this will tank our stock, lose billions. I told him I'd lose everything if it meant you'd look at me again." The last one, barely a whisper. "I love you. I know I never said it. I was terrified of scaring you away. But I love you. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Zephira sat on her bathroom floor and sobbed. Across the city, Alex stood in Rowan's office, deeply concerned. "Sir, you haven't eaten in 2 days." Rowan didn't look up from his laptop, where he was systematically dismantling Lawrence Hartwell's business empire. Neither has she, probably. "Sir, did you send the flowers?" She sent them back. Again. "The coffee?" "Refused delivery." Rowan's jaw tightened. He looked like hell. Felt worse. The merger cancellation had cost him billions, but he'd barely blinked. Losing Zephira was destroying him in ways no business loss ever could. "The press conference is in an hour," Alex said quietly. "Your business partners are furious. They're threatening to pull out of other deals." "Let them." Rowan finally looked up, his eyes bloodshot and determined. "Set it up. I want every major outlet there. Sir, if you do this, expose Hartwell publicly, you're risking everything. Your reputation, your remaining partnerships, possible retaliation. I know." Rowan stood, straightening his tie with shaking hands. "Do it anyway." The press conference was chaotic. Reporters packed the room, cameras flashing, everyone speculating about why Rowan Sinclair had called an emergency meeting. His business partners sat in the front row, looking murderous. Rowan took the podium, and the room fell silent. 3 weeks ago, Sinclair Industries was set to complete a merger worth $15 billion. His voice was steady, cold. "This morning, I canceled that deal. The financial loss is substantial. My board is furious. My partners are threatening to walk." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "I'm here to explain why." He pulled out a folder, and the screens behind him lit up. Documents, financial records, evidence. Lawrence Hartwell, silent partner in the acquiring company, built his fortune through insider trading, corporate sabotage, and fraud. 15 years ago, he destroyed a competitor named James Rogers through planted evidence and paid witnesses. James Rogers went to prison for crimes he didn't commit. He died there 3 years later. The room exploded. Reporters shouting questions, cameras flashing frantically. Rowan's voice cut through the noise. "I have evidence, all of it. Financial records, witness statements that were suppressed, communication logs. I'm turning everything over to the SEC and FBI today. Hartwell will face justice, even if it's 15 years late." "Mr. Sinclair," a reporter called out. "Why now? Why risk billions to expose this?" Rowan paused, and for the first time, his professional mask cracked. "Because some things are worth more than money. Some people are worth more than empires. James Rogers' daughter deserves to know the truth. She deserves justice for her family." He looked directly at the camera. "Zephra, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I should have told you immediately. But I'm fixing it now. I'm fixing everything." Behind him, his business partners were walking out, furious. He didn't care. The financial markets would open tomorrow to catastrophic losses for Sinclair Industries. He didn't care about that either. All he cared about was a woman who wouldn't answer his calls. Zephra watched the press conference from Jade's apartment, tears streaming down her face. "He just committed corporate suicide on live television," Jade whispered, awed. "For you. He's an idiot. He's in love." Jade grabbed her shoulders. "And so are you. So what are you doing here?" Zephra stared at the screen, where Rowan was fielding hostile questions from reporters, where his entire world was imploding, and he looked calm. Certain. He'd burned it all down. For her father, for her family, for her. She grabbed her coat. The rain was torrential when Zephra reached Rowan's penthouse. She was soaked within seconds, her clothes plastered to her skin, hair dripping. She didn't care. She pounded on his door until it opened. Rowan stood there, looking worse up close, exhausted, devastated. But when he saw her, hope flickered in his eyes. "You're an idiot," she said, voice shaking. "I know. You lost billions." "I'd lose it all again." He stepped back, letting her in. They stood in his foyer, both drenched, both breaking. "I'd lose everything, Zephra, over and over, if it meant you'd forgive me. You exposed Hartwell, risked everything. He deserved it. Your father deserved justice." Fresh tears mixed, with rain on her cheeks. "You're lucky I love you." Rowan froze. "Say that again." "I love—" He kissed her, desperate and claiming, lifting her up as she wrapped her legs around his waist. The kiss tasted like rain, and salt, and relief. He carried her further inside, never breaking contact, like he was afraid she'd disappear if he let go. "You're never leaving," he muttered against her lips, backing her against the wall. "I won't let you. I don't want to." She cupped his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. "But don't ever hide anything important from me again." Something flickered in his expression. Fear. "Zephra." "I mean it, Rowan." Her voice was firm despite the tears. "If you do this again, if you keep things from me thinking you're protecting me, this might not last. I need honesty. Complete honesty. Even when it's hard. I promise." He kissed her softly, reverently. "Never again. I swear it." "Good." She kissed him back, fierce and claiming. "Because I'm not going anywhere. You're stuck with me, you obsessive billionaire." He laughed, the sound broken and relieved, pressing his forehead to hers. "Thank God. I don't know what I would have done. Probably something dramatic and expensive. Definitely." He pulled back just enough to see her face. "I love you. I should have said it weeks ago. I know. You told my voicemail. You listened." "I listened." She smiled through tears. "All of them. You're very dramatic when you're groveling. I'll grovel for the rest of my life if that's what it takes. Just love me. That's enough. Done." He kissed her again, softer this time. "I can do that." Outside, the rain continued. Tomorrow, Rowan would deal with the fallout of his press conference, the business losses, the angry partners. But tonight, he had everything that mattered in his arms, and he wasn't letting go ever again. 6 months later, Zephra walked into Rowan's office and immediately knew something was off. He was pacing. Rowan Sinclair, the man who'd faced down hostile boardrooms and federal investigations without flinching, was pacing like a caged animal. "What happened?" she asked, setting down her coffee. "Did Hartwell's lawyers—" "Marry me," she blinked. "What? Marry me?" He stopped pacing, running a hand through his hair. I had a whole plan. Dinner at that restaurant where we made the deal. I bought a ring 3 months ago. Alex helped me plan this elaborate. You're proposing right now? In your office? At 9 a.m.? I can't wait anymore." He crossed to her, and she saw it then. Vulnerability. Nervousness. Love. "I had a speech prepared. It was good, Alex helped. But you walked in wearing my shirt under your blazer, and you smell like my shower, and I just—" He fumbled in his desk drawer, nearly dropping the small velvet box. "Marry me, Zephyra. Please." She stared at him, this powerful man completely undone by emotion, holding out a ring with shaking hands. That was the worst proposal ever. His face fell. "I know. I'm sorry. I can do it again properly." "Is that a yes?" Hope crept into his voice. "Obviously, you are an obsessive billionaire." She grabbed his shirt, pulling him down for a kiss. "Yes. Yes. I'll marry you." He slid the ring on her finger, a stunning emerald because he knew she'd refuse a traditional diamond, and kissed her like he was drowning and she was air. "You're sure?" he murmured against her lips. "Because I'm never letting you take this back." "I'm sure, you idiot." Alex chose that moment to walk in, took one look at them, and pulled out his phone. "I won the pool. Johnson from accounting owes me $500. "You bet on when he'd propose." Zephyra laughed. "Everyone bet. The whole company." Alex grinned. "Congratulations, by the way. Try to look professional for the next meeting." Telling Jade was chaos. "Finally!" Jade screamed so loud Zephyra had to hold the phone away from her ear. "I've been planning your wedding since he showed up at my birthday party looking at you like that. I have Pinterest boards. Multiple Pinterest boards. When's the wedding?" "I'm the maid of honor, obviously. Is it going to be huge? Please say yes, so I can wear something dramatic." "Jade, breathe. I'm calling everyone. Your grandmother is going to lose her mind. She loves him. You know she loves him. Ever since he paid off her medical bills." "He what?" Zephyra looked at Rowan, who suddenly became very interested in his computer screen. "Oops, was that a secret?" Jade didn't sound sorry at all. "Anyway, I'm coming over. We're celebrating. Tell your fiancé, oh my God, you have a fiancé, to buy expensive champagne." She hung up. Zephyra turned to Rowan. "My grandmother's medical bills?" "Strictly professional financial assistance," he said without looking up. "Rowan, you love me anyway." He finally met her eyes, smirking. She did. God help her. She absolutely did. That night, tangled together in his penthouse, ring catching the city lights, Zephyra thought about that gala 6 months ago, how she'd walked away from him certain she'd never see him again. "What are you thinking?" Rowan murmured, fingers tracing patterns on her spine. "That you're terrible at proposals." He bit her shoulder gently in retaliation. "You said yes." "I did." She turned to face him, seeing her entire future in those dark eyes. "Best terrible decision I ever made." "I love you too." He kissed her softly. "My brilliant, infuriating, perfect wife-to-be." "Not yet. Soon." It was a promise, a threat, a future neither of them could wait to start. Outside, the city glittered. Inside, two people who'd found each other in chaos finally had their peace. And somewhere, Alex was collecting his betting pool winnings. So Zephyra and Rowan got their happily ever after. The hacker who sold a billionaire's yacht for spite ended up marrying him anyway. Iconic behavior, honestly. But here's what I need to know. If a ridiculously hot billionaire was obsessed with you and sent you an actual yacht, not a toy, a real 40-foot yacht, just to get your attention, what are you doing? Are you selling it like Zephyra and sending him the receipt because you're that petty? B, keeping it because hello, free yacht, and you're being smart about it? C, using it once for the Instagram photos, then selling it? Or D, blocking his number and moving to another country because this man is clearly unhinged? Drop A, B, C, or D in the comments right now. I'm reading every single one of them. If you love dark romance stories, obsession, morally gray billionaires, and love that defies every boundary, hit that subscribe button right now. Subscribe and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss every stories on this channel.